Hey everyone, it's me. Welcome back to this channel on narcissism, where we really try to understand these really difficult toxic situations and people in our lives. So we've been talking about narcissistic collapse lately and how that looks. But today I want to focus on one particular kind of narcissistic collapse, and that is the workplace narcissistic collapse. The narcissistic collapse that happens when someone who has been at the top of the ladder, or at least believe themselves to be at the top of the ladder in an organization, in a company, in a team, some sort of work setting, and their power and their status and their image all fall apart and they are not able to sustain it. It is fascinating to witness, and it can be somewhat sweet revenge if you're on the receiving end of it, of watching someone get a taste of their own medicine, because these folks are so cruel and so awful in their treatment of other people. It can be very gratifying to see them come crumbling down. But let's break it down and understand it better. First of all, we have to recognize that for many of these folks, their sense of self is completely bound up with their status. So for them, their status, their self-esteem, their self-worth, their sense of importance and value is all wrapped up in what they do in their job and the perception of them by other people in their work environment. So they believe, because of their position, because of what they do, because of the titles, because of the perks that go along with it, that elevates them. And if that elevation is taken away, they don't know who they are. They feel meaningless, worthless, invisible, insignificant, and small. They were used to being the big fish in the little pond, and now that fish is out of water. Now it doesn't necessarily mean they actually leave the workforce. Sometimes it just means a demotion, a loss of status, a loss of power, a loss of influence. Maybe they lose a client, maybe they lose a contract, maybe there's a merger and their department gets eliminated. There are lots of ways that this can play out. But the bottom line is they no longer hold the status they used to, and that feels terrible to them. And then they start to lash out. Now, if they're higher up in the organization, this may mean making a fool of people, humiliating people, scapegoating people, taking credit for things that aren't theirs. If they're lower on the totem pole, it might mean being sullen, passive-aggressive, sullen, withdrawing, showing up late, not doing the work. But either way, the bottom line is it's all about them and their needs. Now, sometimes when a person loses their status and they're trying to regain it, they will turn on the charm. And for a moment, you may think, oh, wow, maybe I was wrong about them. They're being nice, they're being pleasant. They're going out of their way to be accommodating. But that's not genuine. That's transactional. That's them trying to work you, trying to get something from you. And ultimately, if they can't get that status back, that charm will wear off, and then you'll see the ugly again. It is interesting to watch this dynamic play out. And I've seen it many times, this sort of falling from grace. And it can be quite dramatic. And people who are around this can be deeply affected by it, because remember, these folks were enablers at one point in time. They were participating. Some people may even feel complicit, and they may feel guilty or ashamed. And now they're witnessing the downfall, and they're not sure what to make of it. Well, I hope you found that helpful and shedding some light on this particular sort of narcissistic collapse. But please, before you go, if you got some value out of this video, please hit that like button and subscribe.